Israeli and Palestinian brothers and sisters. There is no Israel or Palestine race. There is only the human race. And we start the stream with this message of love and affection for all humans around the world. I'm QVR Killer, buzzed off his tits, been out all day, had a great time, had some incredible scran. I went to a place called Fats Hippo, if you've ever been. It's great. But we've got some cars on track. Montana is not the first one out on track, which makes me think this is going to be a wet race. Because no one was an eager beaver rushing, foraging out of the pits. And I say beaver with deliberate irony here, because we are at Canada, of course, the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal. Lots of beavers live around these parts in real life, maybe not virtually. I would have liked to start the stream with a moody, atmospheric, establishing shot of that bowl, that glass bowl that they have in Montreal, the Botanical Garden, but sadly, I can't. So, D1, 4 races to go, one of which is a sprint race next week at Austin. And going into those 4 races, 5 of you could sprint, NSX Montana has a 33-point lead from NSX Cucumber, 205 points. Nathan is third on 179. He lost victory last week thanks to a steward's report, with Cucumber inheriting. And then Sweet Crown 158, Campbell completes the fly 123. And then there's a 39-point gap back to Ariel Jewelry. Let's go aboard with Ariel Felipe. That looked like a corner cut into turn 1, and it was. He's invalid. So let's go with NSX Campbell. There's an alternate timeline. XY Campbell, YX or QVR Campbell. And round the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, turn 3 and 4, a tricky one. You want to flick it in a little bit earlier than feels comfortable. 5 and 6 are non-corners. Keep it to the right-hand side. You want to climb over this awkward little off-camber. Turn 6 and 7. And 7, you're just waiting to pin it to the floor. Track kinks to the right towards turn 9. Tricky little braking point. That barrier sticks out, which makes it hard to brake as widely as you'd like. You chuck it into 9 and then pick up the throttle. Chuck it into 8, pick up the throttle early on the inside of 9 and then turn 10. Brake in a straight line, turn. Get all your braking done before you start turning. And then get on the power nice and straight so you can accelerate with maximum efficiency and minimum rear tyre slip. There's a kink there of turn 12. It's a non-corner. And then this absolute commitment required. Turns 13 and 14. Campbell flings his car into 13. Hits the wall on the outside 14. Wall of Champions is apt. He is our outgoing Division 1 champion. Campbell takes 1 minute 9.5. Let's dip back to Gary, who's in P3 on the order as Nathan lowers the bar by a tenth and a half. He's done a 109.418. Spine goes third, 109.6. That's Montana's teammate, of course, who is only now on his outlap. He's made some changes to his setup, presumably, because we used to see Montana first out of the blocks in League of Europe Division 1. Let's see what Gary, how he approaches turn 13 and 14. That looked tidy, but so much space left on the exit. He wasn't carrying the speed he needed to go as quick as he could. He goes a 9.9, 2 tenths shy of his teammate Verstappen. Speaking of Verstappen, here's his car. It's a Red Bull. It's Sweet Crown, a Dutchman in a Red Bull. How apt. And it's Sweet Crown, who I said is 4th in the championship, 158 points. He has won a race this season, just the one. It was at Monza on round 7, 11 weeks ago. Now 12 if we include a break week. And this is looking a nice lap from him as we come through the middle sector. And he's done a 41.5. It's not showing as purple on the track map. He's coming up behind his good friend Izat, who will get out of the way. No, he won't. Izat will give Sweet Crown almost a slipstream there. I think the Ferrari was in the way, so I think Izat could be forgiven for that. He couldn't get out any earlier if he'd like to. Let's look at the commitment into 13 and 14. That's much more like it, but the rear steps out on him as he gets on the throttle. Where's Sweet Crown going to go? I'll say ahead of Gary. He goes ahead of both AlphaTauris, in fact, a 109.665. As Montana goes fastest with a 19.3. Mohammed was invalid. He's just starting another lap now. And it goes slowest of our runners so far, a 1:10.1 for the D1, D2 Moonlighter. We've got anyone on our lap. We've got the other Ferrari of Marty's done 41.90 in the middle sector, about half a second slower than what we saw from Campbell. And you can see the difference between those who practice and those who don't. So much more timid and tepid through that last chicane. It's going to be a 10-4, a terrible final sector there from Marty. And his teammate ET8 Mohammed now is going for a second run. He saved those ERS back up, or it might have been his outlap that invalidated. 41.6, so he's 3/10 quicker than Marty was through the first sector. And then he turns in way too early into turn 10. That'll scrub him off way too much speed, and he'll have a cumbersome exit as well. 2 corners to go, and it really is make or break turn 13 or 14 as to whether, you know, it really is one of those corners that separates the men from the boys. And Mohammed, in fact, doesn't like that lap. Unhappy with his turn 10, perhaps, and comes into the pit lane. Because he would have got a low 10. He would have been around Gary's pace if he'd had a representative final chicane. But the hairpin, he made a bit of a pig's ear of. No one is out on track right now, apart from Ariel Felipe, who's just come out. We've got Marty coming back into the pits. He's not on a lap. So it's going to be Ariel Felipe once again. No time on the board. Can he go valid this time on his second effort of the day? And we shall see. Got a bit of a lull here. Izat's just joined him immediately back out on track. And we have got Alp Mutsk, who would have won last week had it not been for a 5-second penalty, speeding into the pit lane at Bahrain. Because this is the one race I wanted to do. I will be giving my support to QVR from the airport. Hope you have a safe flight, my friend. Let's see then. Ariel Felipe is first out. Izat is second out. Campbell is third out. Felipe is quite adamant he will hold on to his Division 1 place for next season. I think he will hold on to it by default rather than by performance, if anything. He's attended every race bar one, and he's amassed from 13 starts, he's managed 2 points finishes. Unspectacular from someone who hasn't, who's been here practically all season long. Normally, the worst drivers who attend every race you'd expect to be on around 20, 30 points by the end of the season. Felipe's on 5 right now from 13 efforts. So we shall see what he can produce today. I doubt if there is a track that's going to deliver to Canada, a wheel track to high heaven. But there's every chance we could see some safety cars or something. Penalties are a factor here. The rules are close too. Safety cars are an inevitability, particularly in the lower divisions. I'm sure D2 will see a couple of those later. 41.7 through the middle sector for Felipe. He kisses the inside curb sweetly. And then again at turn 11. This will put him around the low 10 on similar ballpark to his teammate Maledictus. Of course, Maledictus replacing the outgoing Justas 12, who left Eloy in a fit of rage when Montana hit the back of him at Zandvoort. Let's see what Felipe can do. It's a 10.3, not actually that close to Maledictus, and a poor lap time from him. Let's see what Izak can do. He's the next on track, 41.3 through the middle sector. That's a much better middle or first 2 sectors from Izak Kush, the Singaporean. He attacks the chicane well, and then it steps out from him, hits the wall. He might just have enough to keep the lap together. He's got a missing front wing end plate. He does a 10.000, goes P9, but that could have been at least quicker than Gary, possibly quicker than Verstappen as well. There's no real way of knowing from the onboard how much time he lost on the run to the line after that whack against the wall. Who have we got coming close to the end of the lap? We've got Campbell's going back into pits. He's botched his lap somewhere. We've got Spine now as well. We've got the one of the Ferraris starting the lap. I think that's going to be, well, it's Marty or Mohammed because they are the Ferraris. Let's see what Spine can do. Sweet Crown and Verstappen and Gary will be the next. Spine goes P4, improves by just under 10th of a second, but it's enough to edge out Gary and Verstappen. Gary goes P4 now. Verstappen to the line. He's up by a lot. He goes P5. Sweet Crown is the next to that little group, and he goes P7 only. 4 1,000s quicker than Campbell. Montana lowers the bar even further with a 109.2. And we'll go to Mohammed now, who's on a lap. I don't think anyone else is... Oh, Mohammed goes invalid at turn 8. If I miss anything, guys, I do apologise. It's hard work when your co-commentator goes AWOL 2 weeks in a row. We don't have anyone on a lap, and unless anyone's gone again, possibly Marty. I think Marty is on a lap, so let's look at Marty through the first sector. 19.588. He's 5/1000 down on his personal best. Already the slowest of the runners so far. If anyone goes back to D2, I think Marty is an inevitability, but is permitting on, getting enough sign-ups for there to be a competitive D1. Otherwise, we will see a similar field spread to what we've got this time around. He's up by nearly 2 tenths of a second, though, now through the middle sector. And he does well to avoid the curb on the inside of 10. Gets the car straight nicely, avoids the curb on 11 as well. It's very different to the line Felipe took that we saw earlier on. Ignore the kink in the straight. Send the car to the outside because you want to open up this chicane as much as you can. You want to use all the track on the way in, all the painted concrete on the way out, which Marty does. Runs the car close to the wall. He carried a lot of speed there. I think he was a touch slow on the exit of 14, but he does a 10.2. He is no longer the slowest driver. That honour is now returned to Ariel Felipe. Pease is coming to the line now to complete his first effort. We're not mentioning Rocco. He had a qualifying ban, which is why he's retired immediately. Ariel Pease to the chicane, turns in nice and early to both parts. That looks a lot more aggressive and a lot quicker than Marty managed as well. It's going to be a 10 though. It's a 10-1, half a tenth quicker than Maledictus. Nathan was on a lap. He's made a pig's ear though of turns 5 and 6. Sorry, 6 and 7. And backs off. He was 7.5 tenths down anyway. Sorry, hundreds down. Maledictus is now starting his second effort. So we're just about to tick over onto 5 minutes to go. Campbell and Izat are already out for their third and final runs, probably fueled with recourse for a second lap on this run if they need to. Maledictus has a 19.2 through the first sector. That's a nice first sector from him, and it looked very tidy, and no dramas on the throttle either coming through turn 7. See how he approaches turn 8. You just want to spot your braking point there as the curb kicks out at you. Into 8, then 9, pick up the throttle early. And this is looking good for Maledictus. Bring the car, edge it to the left-hand side, brake in a straight line, open up turn 10. You want to brake straight, accelerate straight. And once again, that looks very, very nice from the Portuguese driver. Might be one to join the 109 club. Look at that gap we've got between Campbell and Izat. Everyone who's on the 109 is within 3 tenths of each other from first to 8. Then we've got 4.5 tenths to Izat in P10. That looked good for Maledictus. Brush the wall, but no harm done. He does a 9.6. He does fling himself into that gap. The 9.630. That's a good effort for him. Izat's already a 10th down on his final effort. Nathan through the second sector, a third of a second up. This is going to bring him well clear of Montana if he keeps his lap together. A little deep into turn 10. I don't think, though, it'll cost him too much time because he could pick up the gas pedal just a touch sooner, straighten the car up, and now it's all on turn 13 and 14. How are your nerves? How's your braking? You're turning. A little hesitation on the wheel, and again the back end just not quite living with him on the exit. Nathan does go fastest, but there was so much more time in that lap. It was a 9.205 gauntlet lane to Montana, but it could have been so much more. It could have been in the realm of a 9.0. I think that final sector didn't quite come together for Nathan. Campbell's on a out lap. No, he had a poor start to the lap. He's bailed on it, and he might have time to come back into bits. I think he will. I think if Campbell selected the softer tyre option, he will just about have time to come in, get those tyres changed, go back out onto a fourth set. But not having a soft or wasting a soft set won't be ideal if there's a late safety car. Let's ride on board with Izat, in who he backs off as well, following behind Nathan. And let's just watch this little shenanigan going down that straight there between turns 7 and 8. Izat's had enough of being an irritation, and he is going to run on his way. Campbell has come back into pit, so he will go again. Nathan will not. Nathan's session is done. He's on the run down to turn 10. I think he's run out of fuel, in fact. Yes, he has. He has run out of fuel completely. That's why he's pedalling along at gondola pace there. Let's go. We'll watch Montana's final lap. We haven't watched any of Montana so far. Felipe's got invalid immediately on his final run. Mohammed, though, still hasn't set a valid lap time, as Izzat retires in the pit lane. So 19.4 first sector, second gear through turn 7. I've not seen that too often. Tried to nab a slipstream off Martin. There's going to be none of that. Or it'll do him no good. And then let's see how he takes turn 8 and 9. And the car over-rotated on the way into 8. He did well to gather it in for the second part of the chicane. It's going to be a high 41. No, it's a low 41. It's 41.4. This will put Mohammed probably in that gap between Izzat and P. Izzat did improve into that gap as well. He was on a 10.000 if you remember. So we'll watch the end of Mohammed's lap and then we'll go on board with Montana, who is just coming around turn 3 and 4 now. So to the line goes Mohammed. He's in P14, not a lap time on the board yet. This will be something, and it's a 9.777. He goes P11. Here's Montana. Through the first sector, it's a 19.2. He's up by 600 a second. If he keeps that 600 a second all the way through the lap, he will beat Nathan's time. In fact, he would be identical to Nathan's time if he kept his improvement through the first sector for the rest of the lap. 8, 9 looked clean. He stays to the left on the run down to 10. He's up by 800s now. There's an Alpine getting out his way on the right hand side. That is Felipe, or Maledict is more likely on his outlap. Turn 10, no dramas there. It's just nice, tidy driving from Montana. There's not too much to say about it. It's Montana being Montana. But how brave is he through this last chicane? We saw Nathan lose a mammoth amount of time here. That was really clean from Montana. Absolutely no sliding at all. This is going to be pole position. It's a 9.2. It's not pole position. He misses out by 15 thousandths of a second. He lost time in the final sector. Campbell's going to start his lap now. Verstappen's just finished. He's done a 9.4. Cucumber's only on a 9.4 as well, 3,000 further back. Gary's on his lap. He's on a 9.5. Checkered flag is out. So I'm trying to work out here who's on fly laps, who's on in laps. Cucumber is on a fly lap. He's up by 6/1000 in the first sector. Campbell's on a flying lap as well. We've got Spine coming to the line. He's currently in P7. Campbell's up by 65,000 seconds. He's done a 19.1. But then a little rear lock into turn 7. And the car steps away from him. Let's see what Spine can do across the line. Doesn't improve. It's a 9.5. Will he be his best effort of the day? Campbell through the middle sector. We saw just from that wide shot that the rear stepped out all the way through 7. He's still up by 3,000. Takes a really nice line through 10. Tries to straight line 11 as much as he can. And now, as it always is here, it is all on the last chicane. I don't think anyone else has any improvements in them. Everyone else is finished. Maledictus has got half of a tenth. He might yet dislodge Sweet Crown or even possibly Spine as well. But look at that commitment from Campbell. He walls the ride. He rides the walls on the exit of the final corner. Through the walls of champion. And he goes a 9.226. He misses out on Montana by 6,000ths of a second. Had he not hit the wall there, not scrubbed off a tiny bit of speed, it would have been an all Mercedes front row. But it's Mercedes, Aston Martin, Mercedes. Maledictus went P5 in the end. He absolutely shattered the end of the lap there. And it's the 2 AlphaTauris of Gary and Verstappen. But that qualifying session says to me that this could be anybody's race. There is so much up for grabs here. Let's go through the full order. There's that moody establishing shot of the botanical garden that I mentioned, the big ball in the background. So Nathan's on pole by 15,000 a second. Campbell only 6/1000ths further back. Cucumber 78,000 back. The top 4 split by less than 800ths of a second. Maledictus goes 5th. Cucumber improved right at the end there. I didn't realise he was on the lap. My apologies. Verstappen is 6th. Gary 7th. Spine is 8th. Then Sweet Crown and Izzat complete the top 10. Then Peas. We've got a little Ariel trio there in 9th, 10th and 11th. And then it's Mohammed in 12th, Felipe in 13th, Martin 14th, not getting within a second of Nathan's time. And then Rocco, of course, with the quali ban, starts P15. But Nathan on pole position on a pad around a track that is notorious for favouring the wheel. And Alp saying, still being in contention with the pad here for pole is crazy. Well, not just in contention, was he, Nathan, in the end? He took pole position, and he took pole position confidently. He could have had even more time in his pocket had he not made a meal of his last corner. So we're going to direct our attention now to the Grand Prix. I have a feeling some rain is coming, but we will have to wait until we get deeper into this race. So I'm expecting rain. Let's go on to QVR Verstappen stream, see if we can see the icons. There is rain due on the icons, only at the end of the race. Only at the end of the race, but we don't know that. Sometimes it can say the end of the race and then it arrives halfway through the race, or even 10 laps into the race, or 5 laps into the race. So we will have to see with that one. Right, they're ready to go on the formation lap now. I think we're going to see hards and mediums well represented, given the fact that rain's coming, possibly even more hards than mediums. In fact, we've got a split. So 6 of the top 8 go mediums. The exceptions are Cucumber and Verstappen. And then of the bottom 7, only 1 does go for mediums. And that's Rocco, starting in last place in P15. So we've got a medium-heavy top half of the grid, and then we've got a hard-heavy bottom half of the grid. And it's going to be Nathan from Montana from Campbell to lead them away. It's a very short run down to turn 1 here. I wouldn't expect too much in the way of place changes off the line, perhaps more so in the successive corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a bit it's a bit narrow around here, though. You do expect them to filter out single file. I think you could see someone getting very greedy on the outside of turn 2, or on the outside of turn 3, or even on the inside of turn 3. Which is one of those tracks where some of those corners, like turn 3, is just so tight. You can't, you got to know when to back out in those situations. And league racers seldom do. This suggested strategy is hard medium, pitting around half distance. It's a 35-lap race with rain due to come at some point. Presumably, it will arrive. It's just a case whether it arrives within the lifespan of the first stint of the race and that first tyre they're running. Anyone can go from hards or even medium straight to inters, or if they're all going to have to make a mandatory stop and wait for the rain to come thereafter. So how's Nathan going to point his car? He's going to point his car straight to the outside of... that is a very extreme angle. That's about 5 or 10 degrees there that Nathan's rocking towards Montana. They're all coming into grid position now. So let's get ready to rumble. It's round 15 of League of Europe. We're in Division 1 and we've got a tasty grid ahead of our driver. It's Nathan, Montana, and then it's Campbell and Cucumber. There's a title battle still to settle here. We've got 4 races to go. And in this one, it's lights out and away we go. And Nathan immediately covers off Montana, who's forced almost onto the grass there. Campbell's looking up the inside. He's on in the side of Montana. There's contact between them. They filtered through. Montana's on the inside. Campbell's on the outside. Is he going to got enough traction there to have a drag race towards turn 3? Let's go back into the midfield here. Campbell's on the outside. He filters in. I think they're all playing nice and sensible beans through there. Isaac's having a look at Pease. Pease gets out of shape through turn 4. But Isaac gets even more out of shape on traction. He's going to send it into 7, and I think he makes the move. Yes, he does, and there's a little bit of concertinaing there because Mohammed, Felipe, Rocco all got sucked into there. The vacuum created by Pease's mistake initially, and massive contact, and into the wall and out of the race goes Marty. Collision with Rocco. We've got a full safety car here on lap 1. Marty's out of the race, and that was, I think that was 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Both thought it was their position. Both thought it was kind of their side of the track. And they were kind of wibbling and wobbling, banging wheels. Marty leaves immediately. Celebrate away Ariel Felipe, because Marty's no longer here. And already 1 driver gone, 2 more go. Everyone gets points if they finish the race. And we'll be getting back under racing action, I think, at the end of lap 3. There's no incentive for anyone to come into the pits unless they have damage. Isaac is coming in, coming off the hard tyres. Rocco's coming in, and we saw he was in the collision with Marty, and he is going to take not a front wing change. He's switching on to the soft tyre, and Isat's going on to the medium tyre. Perhaps they've had a call that the rain is coming sooner than expected in 10 to 15 minutes or so, and Rocco thinks, you know what, sod it, I can get there on a set of softs. So how does that change the tyre complexion of this race? Well, Isat and Rocco both started on hards. No, sorry, Rocco started on mediums. So, and Marty started on hards. So two of our hard runners have disappeared. It's now Cucumber, Verstappen, Sweet Crown Peas, Felipe Mohammed, who are on the hards. Just 6 runners now out of 14, less than half the field. 1 on softs, another 7 on mediums. Nothing really changed up front, apart from Cucumber on hards lost a place to Maledictus, as you can see, in the 2 AlphaTauri swap places as well. Peas and Felipe made small gains. Isat down 3, but that's because he made a pit stop. And Rocco, despite starting last and having made a pit stop, has gained a place thanks to Marty's retirement. The only way is up for the Red Bull driver. And this is, again, the kind of race I feel like Rocco, Sweet Crown, Peas, Isat, they'll rock up in 3rd or 4th place come the end, because it will just be chaotic, shall we say. I feel end of season feel. No one's quite as invested as they were. Everyone's motivation's at its lowest. That lends itself to a little bit of opportunism, plus some close walls. I think this won't be the last safety car we see today. As Felipe nearly going off track there, following Peas round. And I don't think there's any need to follow drivers quite that closely. So I'm just going to take a quick drink. Safety car will be in at the end of this lap, I'm sure. Right, we're ready to get back underway. Safety car is indeed in this lap. It's now Nathan's discretion as the leader. The pace the field goes. He is the de facto safety car between now and the timing line, which is about 60% of the way down the pit straight. No one can overtake anybody else before then, and no one really should be running alongside other drivers either. Nathan's running at around 100 kph, about 60 to 70 miles an hour there. Now the safety car is in the pit lane, so really Nathan can go when he likes now. He's under no controls by the game. He's under no obligation to wait any longer than he wants to. He can drop the hammer whenever he likes. The safety car's going to disappear off your mini-map in a moment, but Nathan isn't content to go just yet, still weaving away. And you just wait. Normally here people will go into or out of the last corner. He goes out of it, and I wonder if that's coordinated with the 2 Mercedes drivers to try and do a form of pincer movement on Montana there towards turn 1. And is that Cucumber making a move? No, it's not, but look at Gary's up the inside and round the outside, switches to the inside of Cucumber into turn 2. Gary's through, he takes P5, but now we take a short run down towards turn 3. Cucumber's going to try hang that out. He ends up getting a wheel full of AlphaTauri and then covers off quite abruptly the front wing of QVR Verstappen. I don't think Verstappen will be too happy about that, because that's allowed spine through, and that's poor from Cucumber. He really cut across in front of the AlphaTauri. I'm not too impressed with that one. It's invited Sweet Crown in as well, as we are now on lap 4, and it's our second full racing lap here. Well, actually, no, it's our first full racing lap. We didn't get a full racing lap on lap 1. Here comes Isat up the inside of Peas into turn 10. Collects that move up nicely, and you can see it, Mohammed as well on the exit, just trying to out-drag Felipe towards turn 13. Nothing doing there. In fact, he was trying to out-drag Rocco, and through goes the Red Bull, into P13. The end of lap 4. It is Nathan that leads from Montana, from Campbell, and Maledictus has held on to P4 nicely, with Gary now in 5th, as we mentioned, and Cucumber running in 6th ahead of Spine and Verstappen. The AlphaTauris were running together. They're now split apart by 2 cars. Let's get our interval gaps on now. And it's going to be a DRS train all the way, I think. We've got a nice mix of tyres. Oh, and that was very sluggish from Sweet Crown through there. Look how close Izzat is up the around the outside there. He was almost pushing the Red Bull through turn 4 and then 5 and 6. A little quick left-right that follows immediately from that chicane. This track is just chicanes. If it's 14 corners, I think about 8 of them are buried in chicanes of some description. Is that going to send a move here? He is going to send us a move, and he's sending a move. A little bit of rear locking, but he gets through into turn 10 for the second lap in a row. Izzat makes his gains at the hairpin, and Izzat almost, Sweet Crown almost allowing P's in as well. Behind them, Rocco and Felipe are trading places. Rocco on the soft tyre takes P12 and ascends into the points paying positions. It starts to crowd over. Izzat's already got a penalty for exceeding track limits. We're only on lap 6. His DRS is now enabled this time around. Our top 3 are doing a nice job out front, but there's no sign of any kind of breakaway. And Gary's doing a good job as well. He's hanging with the leading leaders. We saw it earlier on in the season, didn't we, where it looked like the AlphaTauris could have had a really strong race. I think it was Hungary, and Gary just had no pace in the end. He couldn't stick with his teammate. Actually, it might not have been Hungary. Maybe it was Zandvoort. Where they were on a different strategy, and Gary just didn't quite have the pace to live with those around him. He just kind of fell down the field gradually. But that doesn't seem to be the case today. Gary looks like he's in good shape, and he's actually a lot close to Maledictus. Maledictus is one ahead of him. Lockups galore. Excuse me, into turn 10. But we'd like to see a move here. So this is our first lap with DRS, and look at the overspeed that Montana has. A little bit of ERS, a little late move from Nathan. That was a little bit naughty from Nathan down the straight there. Just a little jink to the right, but it did no harm in the end. All's fair, and Montana takes the lead of the race. Izzat had passed Verstappen in that as well. Verstappen, after nearly passing Cucumber, has now lost a second place since then, as Izzat, albeit on medium tyres, gets through. Lap 7 now. It is starting to get a bit darker, but not. I think we're quite anywhere near the rain just yet, if it is coming at all. I would presume it is. I think that's the only way Rocco's decision to pit for soft tyres makes any kind of sense, if there is rain on the fairly immediate horizon. Montana's gapped Nathan already by 7/10 of a second as they come down the straight. I think Montana is running lower wings possibly than the Brit, as Rocco passes P's on that short little DRS zone. You always forget is a DRS zone, really. Overtaking spot into turn 8. It's such a short braking zone, it's such a tight approach. You've got to be really committed and certain of the move before you try and send anything there. What's Nathan got in his pocket, though, down the straight this time around? No ERS in usage, he's just biding his time. But you can see how much he's not gaining, really, on Montana until right at the end of the straight. Makes you think that actually Nathan is running higher wings than Montana around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, because he used a bit of ERS, but Montana gained so much so quickly and so early in the straight. Nathan had nothing in contrast on the following lap. Still no sign of a break in the train, actually. No, there is a break in the train. It's Ariel Felipe, that man who definitely belongs in Division 1. He's got Mohammed cooped up behind him. And these guys are going to risk or put themselves in a position where they need another safety car if they want a good result to come from this race, because they're the only two outside of the points right now. And Nathan's closer this lap, look at that, through turn 10. He took a tighter line as well. If Nathan wants to get the move done, he will get the move done. And he's using some ERS on the exit of turn 10 as well. He's going to take this one back. And this is just stretching the field out enough that Campbell and Maledictus risk becoming corks in the bottle for everyone behind them. Nathan's up the inside of Montana into turn 13. Montana didn't want that fight. A Sweet Crown now passes Verstappen. Verstappen is struggling. He's sinking through the field here, as Mohammed takes P13 as well from Felipe. 3 changes position down there, and I said Campbell was at risk of falling away, but dragging himself back in, because that's a DRS, double DRS zone with a single detection point. So once Nathan was past Montana, the second DRS zone, Montana had nothing. Campbell had DRS, so that allowed Campbell to haul his way back in. I think these three, if they really push it, they might be able to drop Maledictus, but we shall see. And look, Campbell looks a lot more confident this lap, a lot more closer to Montana. I wonder if we could see Campbell have an assault at some point on the back of that Aston Martin. Maledictus has to be very careful he doesn't get cut off. Look at his DRS usage, you can see on his dashboard there, much lower than those ahead of him. Campbell's conserving, as are Montana and Nathan, that's the one. Whereas Maledictus is having to use extensively. Gary's used a little bit more than leaders, and there goes Montana. He retakes the race. These two just yo-yoing back and forth. And Nathan now is going to be vulnerable without having DRS down the second straight, down the pit straight. But Campbell's not in any position or any mind, I think, to really have a go at his teammate in the meantime, as Verstappen gets back at Sweet Crown, now onto lap 10. But in doing so, he's pulled them out of the train, away from Spine, and they're cut adrift now, which is good news for those ahead, that it gives them a little bit of a buffer. So long as they can stay with that leading group, the top 8 are in a really good position right now, as look how much out of shape Spine was there through turn 6, and Izzat then got too excited with his loud pedal, and ultimately, because of that, couldn't do anything about the Aston Martin in the following corners, and the rear steps out from him again. Izzat doesn't look a happy bunny, does he? And that's invited Verstappen back to play. Verstappen was 1.4 behind. He's now 1.0 behind. He's not going to have DRS. We're past the detection point, but I think that means there is hope for the AlphaTauri, that he can find his way back into a competitive staging in this race. And Gary getting very close to the back of Maledictus now, and then lose all that time down through the final chicane. And that's going to invite Cucumber in, but they're all got DRS, so they're all just neutralised against each other. There's nothing anyone can do about the car in front of them. We're approaching a third distance in this race, well, in a lap's time or so. No suggestion that anyone's going to make a pit stop yet, nor is there a suggestion really that the rain is immediately on the horizon. You can see some blue get in the gap in the clouds there overhead. This seems to be just and that's Izzat again. He can't control the rear of his car. The rear tyre is really starting to go off. I think that's an indicator of, I had it at Bahrain last week, I just could not control the rear of the car once those tyres started to slip. And the more they slip, the more they slide, the more they overheat, and the more they wear, and then it just perpetuates, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And Izzat looks like he's struggling more than most with the rear of the car right now. You can see he had a couple of stabs at getting the car right on traction, and he just looks like he's on bits of the racetrack he shouldn't really be anywhere near. Everyone pulling up spot breaking point there, but no suggestion of an overtake coming, as Verstappen and the two Red Bulls here in this, and Rocco's got through. In contact between Verstappen and Sweet Crown, who got out of shape on the end of the corner. Verstappen now getting straight out of the throttle, and look at Pease now sending it on us up the inside of turn 1. Verstappen has a rear lock there into the first corner, and these guys, if they were thinking of pulling themselves back in, they've just completely shattered that. They're 1.9 now off the back of Izzat, albeit it does have 2 time penalties, but for the practicalities, for the pragmatics of their race, they are not where they need to be right now. Felipe gets a time penalty, as there goes Izzat the inside, not Izzat, there goes Verstappen up the inside of Pease into turn 7. Pease just about held it around the outside. Enough space was given. Verstappen weaving behind him. He is not happy about something Pease has done, presumably that overtake we saw into turn 1, where Pease just appeared on our inside opportunistically. Let's go to the straight though, because Nathan, look how close he is. Less than 4 tenths back as we come on to the end of lap 12. We are now a third of the way through this Grand Prix. Nathan's going to make this move here, and if he's smart, he can back Montana up through the chicane and possibly invite Campbell in. Let's see how smart they play this. We've got a pitter. It's QVR. Gary is going to blink first in this pit window, and in fact that didn't allow Campbell in at all. It's as you were, at least behind the top 2. But look how close they are. We'll go gap to leader because Rocco's pitted as well off the soft tyres. So Rocco's effectively gone to a soft hard. We're on gap lead when Gary comes out of the pits. So what we want to really see is Gary was only a couple of seconds off the lead. I mean, he was ahead of Cucumber. Cucumber's 1.7 off. If Gary can make 2 seconds in 2 laps or so, he will be in the lead of this race. I always say this on commentary. If you're at the back of a train and the train is for the lead, why not come in early? Why not take that gamble? You've got nothing to lose, really. You can only gain from it, and Gary is now 18.1 seconds off the lead. If he can find a second on this lap, it'll at least throw in amongst Campbell. As there goes Cucumber up the inside of Maledictus at turn 10. That'll cost them some time in the battle to Gary as well. It's fine margins when you're talking about pit stops. Gary's now 17.7. They do need to watch their mirrors really seriously here, the leaders, for Gary coming in. Nathan comes in. Everyone else stays out. I think this is we're going to see a top 2 here of Nathan and Gary after these stops. Gary's only 16.8 off Montana. This is going to be, and here goes Pease around the outside of Sweet Crown into turn 1. Sweet Crown gave absolutely no space there. Somehow Pease survived it. And Verstappen's going to out-drag the Red Bull towards turn 3. He's on the inside. It's about who's going to back out first. I said turn 3. Someone needs to concede the place. Sweet Crown sensibly does. Look at Nathan's only just come out ahead of Gary. Gary's going to be P2 here. Once the leaders come in, if Gary can stick with them this lap, Gary's gone on to the mediums, Nathan's gone on to the mediums. Nathan started on mediums, remember. Actually, no, as did Gary. So rain is coming. They've gone medium. Unless a 2-stop's a viable strategy, I'm not sure. I would presume, though, that means, if anything, rain is on its way. Nathan's 50.8 off the lead. Gary's 16.3. It was 16.8 at the start of the lap. Montana and Campbell have to react. They're going to be behind Gary. They are going to be behind Gary. And you think if Maledictus had come in as well, possibly, or Spine, they could have also gained time. Campbell stays out. Cucumber still stays out. They're losing time, hand over fist to an undercut here. Izat's in as well. Verstappen staying out. I think we've seen a mix here, possibly. I am wildly speculating. I have no idea if, rain's coming or not, but I can only presume that those two up front are staying out because either they want to do medium soft, which seems unlikely, because Gary sets the fast lap of the race, or more likely, they think they can stretch the stint to rain. And look at that, Gary is ahead of Montana here, but all of them. Nathan's just got through, but they're behind Felipe, and Gary needs to get this move. He needs to get this move done quickly. He's right outside of turn 7. That's clean, a little bit opportunistic, but that's very clean from Gary. A nice move. And this is critical. These are critical laps as to where the podium's going to be in this Grand Prix. Montana is stuck behind Felipe, who really slows down through the chicane. He's going to out-drag him towards turn 10. Felipe was slow off the corner, but Felipe could make Montana's life a living hell here by sending it on Aston Martin into turn 10. He doesn't, but he hits the back of the Aston. And I think Montana's going to be in Gary's DRS, but it's cost him critical time. Cucumber's staying out still. Spine is staying out still. You can see it really is clouding over now. Campbell and Maledictus, by staying out those extra laps, have pitted into absolute no man's land. They've gone onto the mediums, the same tyre, but they're going to be nowhere near Montana or Gary. They could even be behind Izat here. It's going to be quite close with Izat. You can see him on the outside of your picture now. Through goes Rocco as well. This is going to be close here with Campbell and with Izat. He's just ahead of Izat, but Maledictus has lost out massively. He had such a good start to the race, such a good qualifying. He's thrown it away on track with a shoddy pit stop decision. He's made life a lot harder for himself. He's lost out to Izat. He's lost out to Gary. And these guys have still got Felipe to pass. And there'll be a couple more corners of that. I don't think Campbell's going to get past before turn 8. So you're looking at ascending to turn 10 at the earliest. They've played the card wrong here with the strategy, and Campbell's got to watch his back, because this could give Izat massive incentive to overtake the pair of them here. Can he follow Campbell through? He takes a high line. He's going to cut back early. He's going to straighten the car early. He's got better drive off the corner than the Alpine, but now Montana passes Nathan up ahead. That will be for the net lead of the race. Did Nathan make some kind of mistake? because that didn't look like it was anywhere on particularly. Montana's absolutely flown by. Sorry that I missed that. Maledictus passes Felipe as well. But Montana takes the lead, or the net lead, of the race. And our top three are still not coming in. They're going to some rain. They have to be going to rain. I can't see any other reason they'd be staying out this long. Because if they would pit now, they would be behind... Oh, Felipe's out. Felipe's crashed, and that's a full safety car. And that is exactly why they stayed out. They're going to get a free pit stop here, an absolute gimme. And if rain is coming, does anyone who's already made a pit stop want to go onto some softs in the meantime? This just got interesting. Cucumber, who needed a stroke of luck in this race. We've barely spoken about him. He needed a stroke of luck. He's 33 points behind Montana. For the championship to fall towards him, or a whiff of it, he needed a break in this race. He's just got one. The safety car's out. It's going to be Cucumber from Spine from Montana. Spine gets a penalty for a drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. Montana and Nathan stay out. Is anyone else going to come in? I don't see why they would necessarily, but you never know if anyone fancies some soft tyres. Maledictus did go on to softs, so that's an interesting call. Verstappen only goes on to mediums. Cucumber is on mediums, and he's going to come out just ahead of Campbell. Campbell was comfortably ahead of Cucumber and would have been a good 5 or 6 seconds ahead of Cucumber had there not been a safety car and Cucumber pitted. So that is rotten luck for Campbell and for Izat as well. Spy comes out in P7, but he's going to drop to last place with his drive-through, which he cannot serve until after the safety car comes in. And all this is going to do is just drag us towards some rain a little bit sooner. But for the next lap or so, we'll take a quick break because I, once again, need to take a drink. So we had some pit stops on that lap, and it was Sweet Crown for mediums. Peas and Mohammed have gone on to softs. And Spine, who already has a drive-through penalty, is a little bit in a risky situation here. He's the only person on hard tyres in the entire field of any description. They're only 1 lap old, but they will be far worse than those around them. The person on the worst tyres in the field right now is Gary. He's on 6 lap mediums. Nathan on 5 lap mediums. Montana on 4 lap mediums. We're going to see here, I think, quite possibly, a situation where Cucumber is on 5 lap fresher tyres than Gary. That is a massive advantage. And 4 on Nathan, 3 on Montana. He has got every chance here to overhaul that gap. He's got now a fundamental inherent advantage over those ahead of him, has Cucumber. And those behind him. Going back to Verstappen, who's also on that mediums. He has all of the aces. He's got a royal flush here. Has Cucumber. Appropriate with the Vegas Grand Prix happening in a little over 10 hours' time. This has to be his moment. Montana's gone very early. I didn't even catch that. He absolutely sent it into the last corner, and Cucumber's using everything on Gary here to try and get through. Gary's using everything to defend. I'm not sure why Gary wants to get too involved in this. If I was him, I'd want to take hold of some good points and hope it goes off ahead of him. I'm worried that he's inviting trouble by trying to hold up a man who has nothing to lose, as it were, in trying to win the championship. The top three are already 2.2 second split. Montana has legged it up front, and you can see, look at the discoloration of the track there, how dark and murky it is. Look at the darkness of the tyres. The lighting has changed here at Canada. Rain is, I think, fairly imminent. It's in the air. Those on soft tyres, on fresher tyres, need to make their moves quickly. Gary's now 2.5 seconds off the lead. Cucumber has to get this done into the last chicane. He can't afford to wait for DRS. He can't afford to wait for Rain. He needs to make this move. He needs to set off after Nathan, after Montana, while he's got a tyre advantage, and he's through. And Gary, I don't think will find him too hard. He tucks back into the slipstream, and he'll be looking to conserve from Campbell. You can see almost a fog in the air as well. Campbell gets a time penalty. That's 5, 6, and 7 all the penalties now, although Spine's about to serve his drive-through penalty in the pit lane. That'll plummet him to last place comfortably. He needs a third safety car to get back into things. We've got 15 laps to go here. Sweet Crown gets a penalty out of the last corner, or sorry, into the first corner. He's in P10 right now. That'll drop him behind Pease and Mohammed. So Sweet Crown, not Sweet Crown, Cucumber 2.3 behind Nathan, and Nathan is already derating. Montana not quite. Montana's on 35%, but he's using everything down that straight. Cucumber's on 57%, but he is, I think, a touch quicker than those ahead of him, certainly with those fresher tyres. He needs to make the most of the tyre advantage while they're all on different tyres. Once the inters come, they'll all be on the same tyre, running at the same pace, and then it's all about who's got the biggest bollocks and who's got the best wet setup, which I dare say would be Montana. And Sweet Crown has passed Pease into turn 10. Gets the move speed on the exit as well. He covers off the Haas driver. Verstappen, who benefited from the safety car, he's jumped back ahead of Rocco, Sweet Crown, Pease. He's back ahead of that group now, but he's not really been able to do anything. DRS is enabled. He's not been able to do anything about Maledictus ahead of him. Maledictus is on 5 laps soft tyres. They might be feeling a touch second hand by now. He did do a tiny bit of running on them before the safety car. And Verstappen, there are good points on offer here. Campbell and Izzat have penalties. And Izzat's got 3 of them now, as I say that. And Verstappen is within Campbell's penalty window. So if he gets past Maledictus, that's a P5 on track for him. Cucumber is 1.8 seconds behind Nathan and is in DRS range, with DRS now in effect. He absolutely levers turns 8, 9, 10, and he dumps his ERS as he has a big wobble there out of turn 10. He might just yet get Nathan into the last chicane, or possibly into turn 1. He needs to make the move done quickly, either way, before rain comes and DRS is disabled. But it could be one of those jobs where it takes forever for the track to actually go to intermediate. It's just greasy and slippy and slidey. Penalty for Rocco. He's running down in P10 right now. P9 is Campbell passes Gary. That's for 4th. Gary's now on 9-lap-old tyres. They are the oldest in the field by a lap from Nathan, who's in P2. Nathan, is he going to hold on to P2 here into turn 1? And I think there was a move on there for Cucumber, but he didn't feel like nailing his colours to the mast and sending it. So he's going to wait, and we're going to see what he can do into turn 10. Will be his next opportunity. If failing that, into the last chicane. It seems an inevitability that Cucumber will get past this lap, but he does need to get past as soon as possible. Everything for Cucumber is about, can he get to the lead of the race before the rain comes? And I think a move this lap, he'll be in Montana's DRS next lap. You're looking at lap 25 maybe, for Cucumber taking the lead of the race. And Nathan didn't manage to get in Montana's DRS, so this is going to help Cucumber no end. It's going to be an academic overtake, I think, from the Alfa Romeo. I'll check my words though. It is actually a very, very, very academic overtake. A non-event, really. Cucumber assumes position 2 here at Canada and is now within 0.8 of a second, a hair's breadth from his sparring partner, NSX Montana. And you have to think that it might not even be lap 25, might be this lap. On my little battle forecast that Cucumber takes the race. He had so much more into turn 1 and 2 than Montana does. Tyres are 3 laps younger. It does make a noticeable difference, particularly when car, the old tyres is going through that grading phase that you haven't reached yet. You'll have tenths of a second per lap in hand over the other car, and we are quite spread out now. Campbell 3.1 seconds off lead. We've got some battling in the background with the two Red Bulls here towards turn 8. I think that was Rocco having a moment, really. He's on his second set of softs of the day, and then here's the wall. Sweet Crown had a moment as well. This could all be all about Peas having a send towards turn 10. Actually, I don't think so. It's going to be the two Red Bulls that dice away instead. And contact between them. Sweet Crown gets through at the expense of Rocco, but there is NSX Cucumber. He takes the lead from Montana, and that would cut Montana's championship lead down to 26 points after this race, with 3 races to go plus a sprint. Nathan gets a penalty that isn't too costly right now. Only Gary and Maledictus stand to benefit from it, but with the field spread we're seeing, I don't think that'll stay the case. I think Nathan, if he stays on one penalty, the only person he has to worry about is his teammate, who already has a penalty of his own. So I think Mercedes are looking locked in here for P3 and P4. Rocco gets another penalty. He's in P11. I think that's his second of the day. Cucumber, can he gap Montana? That's a question for you. Montana's using a little bit to get back in. Stay in. He's got DRS. He'll have DRS. I don't think, actually, that Cucumber will be able to gap him. We've got 10 laps to go at the end of this one. It has been an entertaining race for the most part. And we've got 16 viewers. Hello, 16 viewers. 16 of my closest friends to take us through the final 10 laps of this enthralling Grand Prix. We've got a lot of thingies from in chat from Alp. He says, do we know when the rain will be? No idea. Do we know how heavy the rain will be? It was light on the icon on Verstappen's stream before the start of the Grand Prix. It was light rain. I don't know how long ago you asked that. And we've just seen the rain flash indeed. And it is now raining. So there we go. And now it's a case of who can hang on the best, who can extract the grip from the track the best until we go to the inters. And even then, who's on a wet setup, who's feeling higher wings. I think we saw earlier on that Nathan did seem to be running higher wings than Montana is. Maybe this race could come back towards the Mercedes, towards the closing stages of this Grand Prix. And look at Verstappen here. He's shaping up a move on Maledictus. We're into turn 8 and 9. And Verstappen, his irritation is that Maledictus is hanging on to Izat very, very nicely, but it looks like Verstappen is noticeably quicker. The two Mercedes are properly dicing away now for P3 and 4. I think we're going to see Campbell make a move on his countryman, fellow Brit here, G. Russell 63, towards turn 13, and Nathan's not going to fight that one bit. Through goes Campbell. He takes third place. Anything happening behind him? Is Verstappen making a move? No, he's not. And Gary, after falling fairly quickly, is looking like he's got the pace here. And I tell you, he hasn't got the pace. QVR Verstappen, but he still can't make a move on Maledictus, who goes left, then right, and then a little bit deep into turn 1. And the lens there peppered now by some rain that's tumbling down from the heavens. And you're on pressure tyres here, it's a big advantage. And look at what Verstappen is sailing into the back of the Alpine into turn 6. He's got to be careful he doesn't do that too much, because he's got a very hungry Dutchman behind him of Sweet Crown 19, his fellow countryman and fellow Red Bull liveried driver. And look at them, it's like they're tied by a string through turns 8 and 9. And the field was stringing out, and he was stringing out up front, but not so much in the rest of it. Verstappen's going to try and bump his way through on Maledictus. He still can't find passage to P7. Instead, Sweet Crown might be having a run here. They've all got DRS still, and it depends here. It's all about the wings. Who's running the lowest wings? And it looks like it is Sweet Crown. He's got to move on Verstappen. Can he get a move done? And there's contact up ahead. Massive contact between Izat and Gary, who comes into the pit lane. I think Gary came into Hamid having a big slide out of the last corner. Here goes Sweet Crown up the inside of Maledictus into turn 1. Contact between them. Verstappen and Pease follow in behind. Gary came into the pit lane. I think he just caught Izat, who was blindsided by the AlphaTauri going straight on at full tilt into the pits. a bit of an idiosyncratic pit lane here, in that you approach it at a higher speed than you do the normal racing track, because you can go on a little bit further and pelt your way in there. It's the braking point for the pit lane is after the braking point for the last chicane. Gary gets a penalty, and that saves the bacon of the two Mercedes a little bit. Maledictus is still running without one, and he is very much a cork in the bottle now. Cucumber's lead stands at over 1.2 seconds, but we haven't had, that I noticed, the DRS deactivated message yet. And we're watching this battle, and we have DRS? We do still have DRS, so this is going to be Sweet Crown passing Maledictus, and I think Verstappen might try and do the same as well. They've all got no ERS left to give. Who's coming into pit lane? Who's staying out? We've got a mix of strategies. Nathan pits. Maledictus gets a penalty. They're all getting penalties now as they struggle to control the car in these conditions. Gary's 24 seconds off the lead as Verstappen has to defend from Pease again into one. And Pease doesn't fancy trying to hold it for the inside of two. So Gary is 24 seconds off the lead. In fact, Gary's come back into the pits. Why has Gary come back into the pits? This I need to see. Nathan's gone on to softs, and Gary's going back onto softs. So actually, it's dry tyres are the way. It's not wet weather yet, and that squares with the fact we've not seen the DRS disable message. Why people went so early, though, I'm not sure. Presumably Nathan feels that the soft tyres are absolutely going to be massively, massively quicker. He's 20.7 seconds off the lead. We'll keep watching that as we go. He needs, well, we've got 6 laps to go after this one. He needs a thick end of 4 seconds a lap to overhaul his gap to Cucumber. Let's have a look at actually what Cucumber does this lap as Pease passes Verstappen into, and can he get Maledictus as well? Oh, Maledictus comes into the pits now. But Pease is through on Verstappen and Maledictus into the last chicane. Let's have a look, though, what the lap times are showing. Cucumber in the lead of the race. It's just on a 14.7. He's 3 seconds off his PB. His middle sector on that last lap was a 23.7. We'll use that as a base mark. Nathan didn't do a 27. Did a 23.0 and a 14.1, but that includes coming out of the pit. So Nathan needs a little bit more time. He's 19.3, 19.1 seconds off. As it gets wetter, Nathan's advantage will only grow, but everyone's pitting for soft tyres now. Verstappen up the inside of Pease, reclaims P5 from the man with P in his name. Hilarious joke, channeling my inner James head there. What can we see that's crack-a-lacking in this field? I mean, I'm most intrigued in Nathan's progress towards the lead of the race. It's 18.1. I think he's going to comfortably get it cut through the traffic, but I think, will he get as far as... Oh, Montana's into the pits. Montana is coming in off his medium tyres, and he's putting intermediate tyres on. We've seen people go onto inters, come back off them. Everyone so far who's pitted, apart from Rocco, has decided soft tyres is the way. Montana's going to come out well behind Nathan, and he's going to be on intermediate tyres. I don't think it's intermediates yet. We've still got DRS in effect. I think Montana's thrown a podium finish here. And look at how much more speed Nathan has. He's going to drive clean round. But Mohammed can't take that flat. Nathan breezes past him, takes P7. 16.7 seconds now is his gap to the leader as it continues to get a little bit more treacherous. I think Nathan's going to catch up to his teammate. I don't think he's going to catch up to Cucumber because he's got all this overtaking to do. But it stands that it's still the case that the dry tyres are better than either staying out on old dry tyres or pitting on intermediates. Montana isn't doing anything right now. It's like he's driving on treacle coming out of turn 10. Verstappen still battling away with Pease. These guys are careful. They're in a good position here. They don't want to throw it away over one place when they could end up losing 3 or 4. They've got Nathan arriving at them very quickly. Then they're going to have... Actually, the next one is Maledictus, who's 9 seconds further back, who's on fresh softs. they're all in kind of irrelevant positions, unfortunate to say. And look at Montana, he's making so much less progress towards Mohammed and Izzat compared to Nathan. He's not catching Cucumber at all, really, is Montana. A little bit. Couple of tenths here, couple of tenths there. It's not what he needs. Nathan's definitely not catching Cucumber at the rate he needs to win the race. That is definite now. But certainly there's every possibility that a P2 is on the cards here. He's now 8 seconds behind his teammate. He's only got a couple of cars between him and his teammate, which is Pease and Verstappen. Pease is on 13 lap soft tyres. They're not going to be in any nice state whatsoever. Has anyone pitting? Cucumber is not pitting. I think the top 3 are just going to stay out now. The top 5, sorry, are just going to commit to it. Is that as well? Montana's taken a little bit more time out. He's past Mohammed now. He's got DRS on the back of Izzat and is through on Izzat, but he's not catching anywhere near the rate he needs. He needs it to get very wet very quickly. Does Montana to do something ahead of him, because Nathan has now gapped him out of his penalty window. The gap is 5 seconds between Nathan and Montana as Nathan catches up to Pease now. You wouldn't think that either of these would present much resistance to the fresh, soft-shod Nathan. Izzat gets his 5th penalty of the day. Look at this, Nathan's having to lift off on the exit because he's just following Pease through until he can get the throttle down, and he's comfortably through. Takes P5. Remember, none of these guys have penalties. This isn't for position yet. Nathan needs to pass them and then gap them by 3 seconds. He's got 2 and a bit laps to do that. I think he'll be fine, but we shall see. Verstappen is his next target, and again, I think this will be a fairly effortless overtake for QVR Nathan / G Russell 63 _ Gary passes Rocco. Proof that his intermediate tyres aren't really working. Montana's taken a 1.5 seconds out of Cucumber in about as many laps. And Campbell's into the pits. Maybe the medium tyres are at risk of puncturing here. Why has Campbell come into the pits with 2 laps to go? That's bizarre to me. He only had 1 penalty. Surely it was worth the risk for 2 laps. But what do I know? Perhaps, and we've still had a DRS disabled message, so I can't fathom why Campbell's just thrown away a P2. I'm sure he'll tell me afterwards. I look forward to it. Oh, I know why. Because they started on mediums. Campbell went medium, didn't he? Has Cucumber gone medium as well? No, he hasn't. He went hard medium. Oh, disappointing. Campbell passes Mohammed for P9. Campbell's gone on to intermediate tyres. I would have thought he'd gone on to softs, because it's still not DRS disabled. DRS disabled is like the big tell that it's then intermediate conditions. So Campbell should have pitted a lot earlier, as Rocco has a leery moment. We're about to go on to the last lap of the race. Nathan is going to pass Sweet Crown here. This is 4th position. This is 4 P2. We'll look at the penalty situation, 3 seconds each. And Nathan has now got also his 3 seconds on Verstappen and on P. So it is going to be P2 for Nathan. It's going to be P1 for Cucumber. Montana only in P6 right now. He's not going to get anything on penalties. He's going to get 8 points. 17 for Cucumber. Cucumber is going to take the gap from 33 points down to 16 with 3 races to go. Montana, who was in a commanding position of having a 60-point lead in the championship, is going to have that cut from 60 to 16. And Cucumber just has to navigate the last few corners here. Thank you to Alp in the airport for correcting me on all the things I've not mentioned. This is why I need a co-commentator. I think I've done a good enough job by my lonesome, though. It's NSX Cucumber, who I want to say is Canadian, who's going to take victory here at his home race, I think. Nathan in second, Sweet Crown in third. They both played blinders on strategy, although they went in different directions. Sweet Crown persevered. He stayed out on the medium tyres. Nathan made an early switch to a fresh set of softs, and they both capitalised handsomely. But it's NSX Cucumber who's going to take a step towards Montana, and a fabulous victory at that, at the Canadian Grand Prix. Nathan's going to take P2 here, a well-deserved one, and Sweet Crown completes the podium from QVR Verstappen. No, Verstappen gets through. Verstappen just nabbed it by a 1/10.5 from Sweetground. It's going to be Verstappen on the podium. We saw him plummet at the start of the race, but he comes through with P3 thanks to a fortuitously timed safety car. And then a nice strategy decision as well. Sweetground 4th. Pease is 5th. Montana only 6th. Maledictus is 7th. That could have been more for him. Campbell 8th after he didn't quite work out strategy. He should have done what Nathan did and committed earlier to the soft tyre. And Spine and Mohammed, Gary and Isaac, I think points Gary in the end did come home with 2 points. Pease gets the in-game driver of the day. Alp says Isaac's his driver of the day. Kept it really clean with track limits. I detect just a hint of irony. He also says good call from Nathan to Soft, saved his race. I agree. I think either pitting early for softs as Nathan did, or committing to staying out on mediums as Cucumber and Verstappen and Sweetground did were the right calls. The wrong calls were what Montana did, which pit kind of in no man's land for intermediates. And then also, obviously, what Campbell did in that he had to pit for softs, otherwise he would have got a DSQ. It was the smart brains won out this evening, and it's victory for Cucumber, who is indeed Canadian, with a race time of 46 minutes and 7 seconds. Montana did get fastest lap, so actually that means the difference in the championship is 17 points, not 16. So Cucumber wins from Nathan and from Verstappen. Sweetcrown and Pease in 4th and 5th. Montana only 6th after starting 2nd. Maledictus is 7th. Campbell 8th. Spine 9th. Mohammed 10th. Gary and Isaac picking up the minor points placings. And then Rocco 13th. And then our non-finishers, Felipe and Marty, both of whom caused safety cars with their crashes out on track. Marty, after colliding with Rocco on the first lap. But it was a very exciting and breathless race from start to finish. We will wrap up there because I've got to go and get my 3 laps of TT in for Division 2. I've been QVR Kid. It's been a pleasure to have you with us. Next week we take a sprint race at Austin, then it's Las Vegas and Brazil to round out the season. But until then, thank you for joining us. So we'll be the same place, same time next week. You can catch Division 2 imminently with NSX Montana, possibly myself, it depends how I feel, if my race goes terribly, and Division 4 with QVR Verstappen. So do tune into those. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and goodbye.